Hey, listen, I quit. Yeah, I'm going into stocks.
Name of the game. Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket.
But if you can make your client's money at the same time, it's advantageous to everyone, correct?
No.
No one is paying attention.
It's unbelievable.
Have to act now.
God, this is intimate. I feel like I'm financially inside of you or something.
Okay.
I have 5 houses and a condo.
I'm considering going long on April wheat. What do you think, Valentine?
Hi guys, welcome to the Greedy Trader channel. Well, I'm not exactly greedy, as most of you old watchers of the channel will testify. I have the most conservative approach to trading. It's just a nice parody idea from the Gordon Gekko mantra. There are only two kinds of traders, the greedy ones and the fearful ones.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works.
Those of you who are new to the channel, this is where you can learn how to really trade like a professional. Every video I make is packed with real examples with before and after scenarios, so you can see that it is simply a question of sticking with the plan and not changing it because you're having an emotional meltdown. No! Right, I don't even know what I'm gonna teach you guys today. I was just thinking about it. Maybe we get to talk about market profile because again, I just want to give you guys something that will make sure that you guys win. I think the journey largely is about winning. That's really all it's about. When we think about the way the system is set up, the people winning are the people who know stuff. And that's just all it is when you think about it. You lose because there's stuff you don't know. We all lose, right? I'm not saying that I win all the time, but I've got a system, I've got a method. And I use that method all the time because I know that the day I stop using it is the day I'm going to stop winning. Right? And that's kind of, in a way, where we all want to be, is when we're comfortable, we got a system. So I'm just going to give you guys an idea of what my system looks like. And I'm going to show you some examples, and hopefully that gets you guys in a place where you can win something. Winning does a lot for like confidence, I think. And if you're not winning, then you don't have a lot of confidence. So it could be even small wins, right? There is absolutely nothing wrong with small wins. I was working with a client and I told them that trade small because it adds up. I've never met anybody who lost money big in one go, right? I know there are people out there and probably going to get shot down for this, but I haven't met anybody that has been their story. What I know is it's always death by 1,000 cuts. That's it. Sorry guys, I'm drinking water at the same time. So it's death by 1,000 cuts. Now, if you don't want to die by 1,000 cuts, well, I don't know what you're going to do, right? It's just trading. Most people die by 1,000 cuts. So for me, well, trade small, right? So even if you're going to die by 1,000 cuts, you want to make sure that that's what happens. I mean, dying by one swoosh of a blade that's going to be painful. Anyway, the funny side aside, right? We need to really look at this as a business. I guess that's what I'm getting at. And we got to buy inventory slowly and just remember that it adds up, right? We buy a little inventory, we sell a little inventory, and then it adds up. That's the business. What you don't want to do is go all in, right? Because you need to make the money today. That's where it's all going to go sideways, right? You can do this slowly, gradually, step by step, right? And that's why I always say is that trade small. It adds up, right? And this is number one. This is how you win, is if you trade small. If you start swinging for the fences too early, then your psychology, you're just not going to be able to handle it, right? I mean, there's sizes I can't trade. If I put a trade on, guaranteed I'm going to lose money. It's going to be painful. I've done it. I've done it several times where I've thought that it's time to scale up. And it was a disaster every single time, right? And I had to work my way back to equilibrium and then think, oh, wait, well, this is the moment I'm going to scale up. And then, so you realize that it's a psychological barrier. You know, market has nothing to do with this. It's just you. It's a psychological barrier. So from my perspective, right, is you want to start small. And guys, remember, this is a journey, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm in a way, I've decided to invite you guys on this journey. I've been a trader for a long time. So it's always a journey, right? So if it's your first time here at the channel, well, it's a journey that hopefully it helps you think about the way you're doing things and the way you're trading. And I'm going to sit here and have these conversations with you guys going forward, right? And we're gonna be real. We're gonna talk reality, right? The difficulty and the challenge of trading, right? When things go wrong, ultimately, and how we can fix them. So this is what we're gonna do. 90% of the time. How do you win? Market profile. Right, that's what I say. Market profile is the beginning of how you win. If you've never heard of it before, then this is the beginning of how you win, right? It's reality, right? It's just the beginning of how you win. How many people do you know that are trading candlesticks, right? They're still doing it, like, in and out, just, they're doing their 1 minute charts. They're still doing their 2 minute charts. And I'm not talking about people who trade stocks, right? You can totally forgive me because, again, if you're trading the equity markets, 5 minute charts is, it could feel like you're trading a 4-hour chart depending on the stock you're trading, right? But if you're not that kind of guy, right? You're not in the equity space, you're in Forex or in the FX space or in the future space. And you really got to think, right? Why is everyone using this thing and everyone's still losing, right? And then the guys who say they're winning, they're doing exactly what you're doing. I just got a message, the other day from a client who is winning. Right? He's winning. And it's great to see that he's winning. And it's the first time he's winning in a long time, right? I've had clients who've had ups and downs, right? They win a little, they lose a little, they win a little, they lose a little. They have to battle with their psychology. And for me, I'm real about it all, right? Because it's not easy. I focus on primarily giving everyone the tools, right, to go out and do it, right? Just go out and make as much money as you can, right? Because I'm well aware that people with 1K, 5K, 10K, 100K, 500K, I've worked with clients of all sizes. I've even worked with clients who were semi-famous, if you could put it that way, right? Maybe they come from the sporting world, right? And everyone's pocketbook is a little bit different. So some people can do things that other people can't do. I could show you, if you got $5,000 to trade, I could show you the best thing you can do with that $5,000, because you can't do everything with that $5,000. You've got to do a little bit, right? Because again, if you go in for some things with 5K, it's a disaster. And then if you got 50,000, I'll tell you what to do with 50,000, right? And that will make sense for you. And if you, as long as you're willing to knuckle down, you're going to make money with your 50K. If you got 1K, then the playing field starts to get limited. You know, I could point you in the direction of try and raise more capital, for example, or just practice, you know, because with 1K, you're probably not going to make too much. So you can just practice on a demo or go to a prop firm. This is where maybe prop firms are useful, right? There's some particularly good ones that are not going to run away with your money. We have one or two as sponsors, and that's it, because I've been looking like a crab under a rock for a decent prop firm that I could suggest to you guys, and I only found two, right? And those two are sponsors now. That's awesome. But I'm looking at another one, but it's going to take time because I don't know if these things are going to close up. The firms that I recommended, or the ones that I recommend, they've been around for years. One of them is 2016. The other one is 5-6 years now. Right? So they've been around for a long time, and they haven't busted up. They haven't gotten caught up. Sometimes people don't even know about them. Build your trading career with The Fivers, where opportunity meets quality prop trading. The Fivers is one of the oldest prop firms in the business, with over 9 years of experience funding traders. Join a select group of top traders and access funding up to $4 million, empowering you to trade with confidence and scale your trading business. Experience exceptional trading conditions with low commissions, tight spreads, and the freedom to hold positions overnight or over weekends. Accelerate your trading journey with their hyper-growth program, doubling your account size at every milestone, propelling you towards your financial goals. Join a vibrant community of successful traders. More traders have succeeded in keeping their Fivers funded account than any other prop firm. Benefit from their reliable payout policy, receiving profits with a click of a button, ensuring you reap the rewards of your trading prowess. Unlock trading capital with sensible rules by joining the Fivers. Sign up using the link in the description below. This supports the channel and our sponsors. Do it now. It is what it is, right? So it's a tough business, but if you got 1K, you know, you're better off going to one of these kind of firms. One of those guys that I'm telling you about, the Fivers, they've got like a scaling plan, so they can allow you to kind of build up from there. And because it's an instant funded type setup, it works, right? If you've got less than a certain money, that's the way you got to go. I took a lot of time to think about all of this stuff. Now, if you've got more and you want to make money, then we can have a different conversation, because then now we're talking that your mindset is one where you want to do this as a business. And for me, I always only ever prefer to work with people who want to do it as a business, because for me, this is what I do. Is what it is. Point in case, let's talk market profile. How do we win? That's what we were trying to get to. How do we win? So I'm going to show you one way I do things that will generate results, right? And I'm sure of it, 100% sure of it, because it's really simple. Simplicity is always the best way, but I have a system, right? The first part of my system is trade something that has an edge that you're going to be able to make money or income from on a more consistent basis than maybe speculative investments, right? Anybody who sits there and tells you that they got super consistent in highly speculative asset classes, it's not true. It's difficult to do. You have to, you can make money, but you're not going to make it consistently, not in a way where you're going to be able to function in the kind of system that we have today, right? Where the bank is coming for your mortgage at the end of every month. They're giving you a date and they're saying, you need to be here on this day to pay this mortgage. Otherwise, we're going to own you shit. Yeah, that's crazy, right? That's the system. It's a system where your energy bill turns up on a specific month. You've got by X day to pay that energy bill. Otherwise, it's a problem. So you're going to have to be much better at other things than just trading. Of course, if you're very young and you live at home or something like this, that's okay. That's perfectly fine. But if you're, in your 30s upwards, and maybe you're trying to get married, maybe you've got a couple of kids, maybe you're in your 40s like me, or maybe, you're in your 50s or 60s. You probably got stuff you need to do. And then, of course, I'm aware that people who are, maybe in their 60s or 70s, that it's totally cool. They don't need to worry about any of that stuff. That's a different headspace. Yeah, some of us can relate. It's a different headspace. But bottom line is that when you live in a world where stuff needs to happen, you need a reliable way to make income from investing or trading or dealing with asset classes in general if you're going to be able to fulfill those basic obligations, right? Can be tricky, which is the reason why a lot of people don't persevere. They quit because it's hard. So if that's you, then I can show you how to do it where you can make it work, right? It's like I said, it's what you don't know, right? So for me, my method is, and coming through that journey, right, is why I have these methods, right? Didn't just invent this stuff. I had to put it in place for myself, right? It's the only reason why a couple of years on, you go to my very earliest videos on YouTube. They date back to like 2014, 2012, right? Some of them I've had to remove from the channel. They're just too old. Poor sound quality and everything else, right? But I had to put systems in place. And I came from a professional background. I was in this business, right? This is, I didn't come into it as a retail investor, you see. I became a retail trader afterwards. So it's different. But I still had to put systems in place, right, to make it work for me. Because this is a brutal business, even on the sell side. The people in this business, they're so money hungry, all they see is dollar freaking signs. That's it. They don't see anything else. In fact, to them, you're not even human, right? You're the blood bag. It's like some of you would have watched the movie Mad Max. I love that movie, but there's this bit where the war boys are like on the on the car, and they got all these people hooked up to them, and they're literally intravenously feeding their blood into themselves, right? Energizing themselves, right? And the guy who's strapped on the vehicle is called the blood bag. That's to the sell side. That's you. You're that guy on that vehicle, and everyone's like sucking intravenously from you, and it sucks, right? So I get it. I totally get it. So I had to put a system in place, right? So number one, I sell option premium, right? It's one of my primary money makers, right? That's it for me. I nailed that down, right? So that's the first thing. So option premium makes sure that I don't have to think too much about the money side of things. I can do it, right? Anyone can start doing it. You don't need a lot of capital to start, right? You can ask in the Discord server if you like. I'll leave a link in the description below if you're the first time here. I've got a Discord server. There are a few people in there. We're not really hugely chatty bunch. I make sure I post. I've curated it and such because I've had to deal with spammers and marketers. People in there can already see. But it's a more mature crowd. Everyone in there is there because they're there to make money. They've learned a few things and, they go away and they implement it. So it's not a noisy space. But that's it, right? And by the way, you can fast forward to the bit where I talk to you about market profile if you can't be bothered to listen to me. I can appreciate that. But this is important, right? I'm sure you learn a few things here because this is the psychology of the business, right? This is it. It's the psychology of how you get into this, because most people, that's what's wrong in the first place, is the psychology. They see this stuff on YouTube, like there's so many channels, especially, prop firms, they have their pluses and their bad sides. But these days with the prop firm, now there's so many people who are coming in and saying, yeah, I made 50 grand, I made 70 grand, I made 80 grand. And it's fueling this idea that this is how it is. A lot of these guys, they'll take 20 grand. And they will start buying challenges for 1K, 2K, 3, whatever it takes, right? And then they start having a pop at these one by one. And then one of them triggers and when you're throwing that kind of size about, they made 80 grand. They're like, well, I spent 10K, but I made 80K trying to pass challenges, and it's a different way of doing things. And don't think the prop firms didn't figure it out. They figured it out that they're being rinsed in this way. It takes guts to do this stuff, and kudos to the guys who are out there doing it. It takes guts, because what you're essentially saying is that, look, I'm going to pay this subscriber fee to get into this competition, and by sheer virtue of law of large numbers, I'm going to win this thing. I'm going to get these guys one day, right? So I'm going to use money like my bullets. It's a completely different way of looking at the market. This is not about skill. Now it's about probabilities, law of large numbers here, right? I do this often enough, well, these guys are going to have to pay up, right? So this is kind of where we are, guys, in a nutshell. So it's different. It's a different ball game. But if you want to do it sensibly, then you're going to need to apply some skill. And that's the problem. So we got a lot of these guys in the space who are pushing this idea out there that, well, you're just one trade away from, 80 grand. And it's not like that. So my first part of my system is I sell option premium. Elevate your trading potential with E8, the best prop firm you've never heard of, where innovation meets opportunity. Access a wide range of markets from Forex to futures and more, all through their comprehensive evaluation programs. Tailor your trading journey with their customizable evaluation programs designed to align with your unique strategies and trading goals. Demonstrate your skills and swiftly transition to managing a funded account, earning up to 100% of the profits. Trade with confidence on their state-of-the-art platforms like CTrader, equipped with advanced tools and real-time data to improve your trading experience. Enjoy fast and reliable payouts with the ability to request your first payout in just 8 days. Join a thriving community of traders worldwide with 24 hours a day, 5 days a week support and valuable resources, all at your fingertips. I am super critical of prop firms, but E8 is definitely the best and has stood the test of time. So sign up now using the link in the description below to get 5% off your first evaluation. Do it now. It's a high prop game. I win more than I lose. I can manage my positions better. And for me, it's a decent way. Again, if that's something you want to know about or understand a little bit, open the questions. Got the comment section, I've got the Discord server. Ask questions, and I'll tell you. There's a lot of proof on the Discord server because a lot of the option premium trades I do, I like to post them there. More than anything else, it's a good journaling space for me. And it helps people as well. So I can journal some of the ideas, some of the premiums I've sold and have an idea of implied volatility. I can look at some of the things, it just helps rejog my memory. So I like writing on my Discord server, right? So I take it like it's a global notepad that every now and again I come in and just jot a few things down and remind myself why I'm doing this, and remind myself the things I shouldn't do, right? So there's always that memory there. If I give you a good example, it's like I had a trade on Shopify a few years back now. People in the server with me that long, and I remember it was an earnings play. And I remember, Shopify premium, everything just went to zero, right? So all the premiums I sold absolutely cleaned up on Shopify. And I remember that. And what it did for me as a trader, it made me think, wow, this market's on steroids, right? If they are willing, Shopify earnings weren't spectacular. But if they were willing to go all in on Shopify at that point, that told me that, there's a lot of demand here for this company. Back then, Shopify was in the double digits. It's not where it is today, right? So this was a pretty cheap stock. And, it just gave me that awareness. So from a portfolio standpoint, market behavior just taught you something. So anyway, having that system of selling premium gives me a really good understanding of overall market risk sentiment. I know when traders are feeling nervous because those IVs, they explode, right? When people are scared, when the Fed meetings are coming up, but then I also know when the market's not going to reference a Fed meeting. They don't care about it because they've already discounted that information. Everything's happened. If you guys would just think back to what happened to the Fed, what happened at the last Fed meeting, but if you could think back to what happened to the S&P a couple of weeks back, that thing was heading like almost every day it was a sell-off. I sell put premium mainly, so it was pretty tough, right? I needed to understand my implied volatility. I needed to know what calendars I was selling premium on. But even with all of that, guys, it is a far easier game than, trading maybe the slightly highly speculative stuff like the Forex stuff, So method is important, right? So I got that, I got by. Next on the list is, right, how much money do I want to dedicate to some of the speculative stuff? Well, when I think about speculative stuff, my first window still tends to be the equity market, right? What do I want to intraday trade on equities? Now, there is an edge, right? When you're doing small caps, right? There are a lot of people trying to trade small caps. They're getting their face ripped off. It's a different game, right? And everyone's saying get in, but again, they're companies, like I said, the sell side, they're brutal. They're companies who make money, a lot of money from traders trying to, short sell stocks that are like $2, and then those things start to go to the moon. We're talking 5, 6, 7 times what they start to rip people's face off on the short side. So you get all these massive short squeezes. No one wants to talk about that. Because there were a lot of people who'd succeeded at this penny stock, small cap stuff right from the 90s up until we got to the 2008 bear market. That's a lot of time. A lot of these guys are like, probably in their late 50s, almost 60s now, right? And they still got all these chat rooms that are selling people all these services, right? So that's the business, So again, I could easily go down that path, but I've seen the blood on the floor, so it's okay. I'll stick with, the Apples and the AMDs, right? There's not a huge edge there, but they're still highly tradable. If you got good risk management, you can still trade them. So that will be my next step, which is a gradual grower. And then I got my long-term stuff, which is like my portfolio, right? And some of those things, they do pretty awesome. I remember buying a stock on a swing play. It was EPAM. Yeah, it's a slightly lower float, large cap. That thing did numbers. I mean, guys in my Discord, you just saw me talk about Progeny. I bought that. And, it did about 25% in a week. So, look, there's money to be made just finding good investment, right? So that's my next side, is my social arbitrage, right? What I call my social arbitrage, where I want to see how a stock connects to the real world that I'm going to invest in. I want to see that company making money. And that's a different way. That's a different way. I got to sit down and look at this stuff, go through their balance sheet and all the other stuff I needed to do, right? Look at filings, possibly anything on the 10K filings that I need to know. And I look at these individual companies, and then I look at them technically. And when I say technically, I've got only 3 ways I look at the market technically. Like, I'm so freaking linear. It's not even funny. I look at volume. I look at time, right? And I look at generally where I know liquidity is going to be, all right? I say I know where liquidity is going to be, but generally where the market is going to be pretty much, it's a squeeze point. And then I got market profile to give me that information. Those 4 things, that's it. Right, so I got a method. When I buy stocks, I got a rule. Like, the share supply has to be smaller. This is something that a lot of people don't think about. But crypto should have taught that lesson. What is the thing that makes people want to buy Bitcoin today? What's the primary thing? The primary thing is that Bitcoin has a smaller supply. That's it. Single most important thing, right? That's why most people want to buy Bitcoin. It has a smaller supply. That's it. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. When anything has a small supply, it's going to have higher price volatility, because if it ever gets in demand, it's going to go very, very quickly. So that's a rule for me. I only look at companies that have small share supply. Anything with massive share supply, it might be good for intraday trading, in my opinion, right? So something like AMD, You get it on a good day. You know, it's got a decent IV. You know, AMD can go easily at 50-60% implied volatility. So you get it on a good day. You know, you're going to get at least 2 or 3 points. Right? You might have to risk a point to get those 2 or 3 points. That's not bad. So there's still a lot more volatility in stocks. Then you look on the reverse, right? Talking about Forex, FX, for example. It's 6%. That's the implied volatility. 6% IV. That's it. So long term, these things don't go anywhere, right? You might be able to catch the odd intraday play, right? Because the intraday volatility can peak a little bit, but it's nothing compared to stocks. That is why we need like a ton of leverage to trade Forex. It's because it's not very volatile. Like, some people have it all twisted. They got it backwards. They think FX is more volatile than trading equities. I listen to this all the time. And it's partly why I have a method and a system, because the thing is, you keep listening to people all the time, it's just going to be an issue. It's just what it is. Anyway, how do we win? Market profile. Okay, so something pretty simple. Now, I did say to you guys, I'm going to show you something simple, but I needed you guys to hear this, you know. I needed to ramble on about it. It's really important because, again, all these nuggets that I've just dropped in you know, spent a lot of time saying, go back and listen to this stuff. Because there's some wisdom in here. I swear to you, there is some wisdom in there. Because this is wisdom I gained from pain and struggle myself. Which is why I don't have any tolerance to justify myself to anyone. I just tell you what I know, and you come along for the experience. You know, if you think I can help you in any way, just let me know. That's it. That's the only social contract that exists between me and you guys. Is that if you think that I make sense and what I show you here makes sense, then it's going to make sense for you to start thinking about the best way to put this together and implement it so that you can come out of that beginner hell, right? Because it's easy to get stuck in beginner hell where you're a perpetual learner. Everyone who comes to me for anything, the first thing I say to them is that I want you to be in perpetual learning space. I want to just tell you everything you need to know so you can go away and you never have to do this again. Because stuck in beginner hell is the worst thing that can happen. It feels like I'm always learning. Like, shit, I just need to talk to the next person. That can be tough. Anyway, so I'm trying to make sure that is not the legacy that I want to have around anybody, to be fair. So let's talk about market profile. Now, the simplest thing you can do, and I'm going to reinforce this because I did another video about this, is a very simple concept, and it's called pivoting, price pivoting. Right? With market profile, the beauty is that you can see more than just the pivot. So first rule of the pivot is really simple. The market, this is a weekly profile, right? So point in case, it's 5 pip row size weekly profile, right? This is decent. And when we say row size, we mean the size of each letter, essentially. So P is 5 ticks, right? Every time we do 5 ticks, we print a new P. Pretty straightforward. I've got like lots of videos on market profiles. I'm going to teach you that from the beginning. I'll keep dropping nuggets as we go and maybe you learn a thing or two. But if you really want to understand this, check out some of the other videos on the channel or reach out to me directly. Entirely up to you. Right, so the pivot, the market, as you can see on the weekly profiles, we're dropping, we're putting in lower lows, and then all of a sudden we do a swing, right? So we do a swing back to high. So we swing off the low and we hit the high. And that happened right here at P period. So this is the last profile. We had a neutral profile, classic bell curve, bid stacking. So we know that there were buyers coming in, right? Beauty of market profile. If I split the rotation on the following week, and that's when I start looking, right? And there are people on the Discord who did this trade. And they keep messaging me saying, thank you so much. I've had people message me saying, I passed my prop firm challenge that I've been trying to do forever and I couldn't pass it, right? And I finally passed it. Fantastic. I got people who have been trying to make money for a couple of years and they message me and say, look, just watching this stuff alone I actually make money now. I actually understand what that feels like. You know, is what it is. So split the rotation, first things first. Right, if I move this over here again, you can see the exact point when we triggered that pivot high. So we opened up on a Monday, we went up, and by the time we got to Monday evening to Tuesday morning, we triggered the pivot high, and then we bounced down. What I always say is that as soon as the pivot high goes, buy the dip. That's it. I'm not going to put any terminology on it. Usually I would say, wait for a pullback into bids. I'm not going to do that. It's fine. As you watch the channel, understand market profile, you know that that's what I'm trying to say. So on the pullback, for me, buy the dip. That's it. Ideally, as close to value as possible. What do I mean by that? Is as close to the 70% value area as you can get. And then what are you going to do? This is not going to be an endless train to the moon, right? Asset classes don't work that way. There is intraday volatility, there's intra-week, the quarter volatility, there's the annual volatility. All of that has to get baked in. These assets, they have what we call underlying options. So FX has options, and people are going to be selling those options, right? They're going to be collecting premium on the pound, right? I can show you how to do that. You're going to be selling people's strikes here and there. So the problem with that is if you're thinking that you're going to get this huge move in the space of maybe a day or so, then you're mistaken. You're completely mistaken, because on a Friday, all of that's going to unwind. And if you don't see the market unwind on a Friday, then you know that traders are in trouble, right? They're probably going to unwind that on a Monday. So the thing is, continuity in markets like that trend continuity, it's almost all but dead. Now you've got to be able to trade volatility. That's all that exists. That's where they've left us. Central banking and all. So, point in case. When you go for that dip, you're looking for what I call value high, right? So you're pulling it into prior value high. It's a pivot, right? So you want to take the week to prior value, and you should be covering. What do you see here? That is exactly what traders did. They covered into value high. There's a reason for that, because they're getting the highest, fairest value. And that's what market profile teaches you, is to understand the market in these terms. What is valuable? What is not? You can't get that just looking at candlesticks. Sorry, you can't get that if you're doing some ICT pattern. You can't get that if you're doing some other SMC. This is all sell-side stuff. And I'm not saying that there's not merit into some of these things. They're overlaying a lot of concepts, as far as I can see from market profile anyway. Peter Stiedelmeier has been talking about this stuff from the 80s. Like, it's not new, it's not special, but I understand as generational constellations come about, people are going to think it's special, but it's not. It's just not special. Anyway, I'm going to unedit it. I'm not even going to edit this video. Right? I'm just going to throw it out there the way it is. Right? I might zoom in a couple of things so you can see clearer, but that's it. Because I guess it's just time that everyone starts to hear this raw, adulterated stuff. Right? Anyway, so that's where you want to cover. Right? It's a pivot trade. Now, we had a similar trade show up, and I was waiting for this trade, right? I couldn't catch it though, because guess what happened? Let's split this week. This is the week we're looking at, right? So this was the pivot. So we went up, higher highs, we're going, and then we had this cover. We can tell, neutral profile. It's an offer stack, right? Price closed under the stack. As soon as we triggered the period, that was it. The market was going to drop. But all the pros, if you're a pro, right, you've been doing this for a while, you know that already, right? You can see that there's under D period, it's done, right? So the trigger that we saw here, we split this. You might not get that because it became too obvious. You look at this profile, it closed a lot lower. So it's not as obvious that we're going to go up and take the pivot high. We could as well have gone down because some people would have perceived this to be an offer stack on the downside, but it was too low for me. So I'm not going to think about it that way. I see it as a short cover for what it looks like. Now on the reverse, this is a different scenario. It became predictable this market was going to cut back. And if I close this profile, the whole thing just gapped on the open. So no one got a chance to get into this trade. Right? Very few people did unless you took the trade at the end of the week. So you would have needed to do it at Friday close. In anticipation, we're going to drop into value low. And look at the recovery as we went down, hit the bottom of value, and then just flew back up again. So this wasn't a trade. When it was coming back, I'm thinking, there's a bid stack down here. What, they're going to run this into the offer stack and sell off again? Well, it tried to do it, but then that was it. It just didn't. So there was just no opportunity, because for me, once we've gone down and we've hit value low, that's it. I'm out. Like, because we've traded the lowest, fairest value and people are buying. There's no point trying to go for a retracement. Right? You want the retracement if you can see us trigger the pivot and then come back in. Right? If you don't see that, then just give up. It's done. The market's gone away. You will not always get that. So you could have waited for 2 weeks for a trade and the trade shows up and you couldn't take it. That's what happened to me. So this goes back to the point of, how can you be consistent, like trading this stuff in this way, if you don't have a system? How can you be if you don't have a system for making money yourself, like with the markets? If you don't have it in its entirety, if you're waiting for trades like this, then you're stumped. You're going to be forced to trade outside of your normal idea or parameters, and that is how you lose money. It's really simple. Right, so again, for me, I saw the gap down, pull up, fair enough. I didn't get the trade. It's life. I go on to keep selling my premiums. And I post that on the Discord server. There's nothing to get excited about. You know, I didn't get the trade, so what? Right, now we got up, now there's no pivot. And I guarantee you, I'm probably going to have to wait maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the next trade shows up for me. Because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for things that they have a higher probability of working. And that means I've got to sit there and I've got to wait. Horrible. Horrible if you've got the kind of gambling addiction that a lot of us have. It's horrible. It's just sitting on your hands. Well, you want to take the trade, but you can't. Anyway, I hope this was value, right? This is the simplest thing you can do. I assure you, set up weekly profiles, start looking at pivots. It will change your game instantly. And if you don't have the patience to do it, then I don't know what to say. Right? But that's a simple thing. Now, there are other ways you can approach the market. There are other little pockets of systems that you can put in place in terms of trades you want to take. But again, you'd grind them down to what's reliable. What I said to someone is that it doesn't matter. Whether you trade a weekly or you trade a daily, the IV is 6% on FX, right? 6% annual IV. The problem with that is that it is what it is. You're just not gonna, you're not gonna see much movement. It's just, sorry, I don't know what to say. Historical volatility is 6%. You're just not gonna see a lot of movement. But that burst of energy that you get in these leveraged positions, like, so maybe you see it in the intraday, the market moves, you can't catch those. It's really difficult to catch. But if you're already picturing it on a weekly profile, 4-hour rotations, then you're already in that trade. So you will capture that volatility. Pareto optimum, guys. Pareto law. If you don't know about Pareto optimum, it's the 80-20 principle, basically. 80-20 principle will dictate that 80% of the move will happen in 20% of the overall range of the asset class, right? So 80% of that volatility is going to take place within a very small window. I'm going to leave it there. Till my next video. Adios.
Hey, listen, I quit. Yeah, I'm going into stocks.
Name of the game. Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket.
But if you can make your clients money at the same time, it's advantageous to everyone, correct?
No.
No one is paying attention.
It's unbelievable.
Have to act now.
God, this is intimate. I feel like I'm financially inside of you or something.
Okay.
I have 5 houses and a condo.
I'm considering going long on April wheat. What do you think, Valentine?